there is a larger takeaway. I hate using the word takeaway beyond AOC, which is that I think 9 members voted against the authorization for the Iron Dome system, and that's unprecedented. I mean, the lobby is on the defensive here, and they never thought that anyone would oppose them on a system that was marketed as defensive in nature. But constituents are starting to see. I don't know if you saw the exchange Kamala Harris had at George Mason recently.
Oh, yeah.
A student just got up and said, Israel's committing genocide, and why are you supporting that? Like, and Kamala Harris didn't know what to say. She was sort of stunned, and she said, okay, I hear you. She tried to do that. You know, we all have feelings, and your feelings are legitimate, but trying to deny the substance of the comment.
Yeah, she made a terrible mistake. She actually thought it would be okay to apply identity politics and intersectionality to Palestinians. And she's getting called out for that by, the Israel. What can we call them? I hate saying the Israel lobby. Everything sounds like an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory, but that's what it is.
Well, you have to call them the Israel lobby because they're not all Jewish. I mean, you have Christian Zionists, so. But they are dedicated to Israel first and foremost above all else. And they don't really make any effort to deny that. But if you say that, then you're accused of being an anti-Semite.
Right.
Like, you called me an Israel firster. I work for AIPAC and my job is to promote Israel's interests. So I'm not an Israel firster, but it's your freaking job. Like the Emiratis or whoever, all sorts of governments, the Mauritanian government will hire lobbyists in Washington, and their job is to promote that country above all else, its interests in Washington. I mean, AIPAC creates this anti-Semitic dynamic by claiming that it's just part of American Jewish life and that it's just Jews advancing their own interests. So it's AIPAC's fault. But anyway, yeah, this clip is kind of remarkable. And the way the student talks to her, you can see that if you transcribed it, what she's saying is so in your face, and it's a very jarring statement, but the way she says it, it's almost like Israel is committing ethnic genocide. She's saying it in such a nice and way.
There were funds allocated to continue backing Israel, which hurts my heart because it's an ethnic genocide and the displacement of people. And I think that the people have spoken very often in what they do need, and I feel like there's a lack of listening, and I just feel like I need to bring this up because it affects my life and people I really care about's lives.
Harris responding in part,
Glad you did, and again, this is about the fact that your voice, your perspective, your experience, your truth should not be suppressed, and it must be heard. The point that you are making about policies that relates to Middle East policy, foreign policy, we still have healthy debates in our country about what is the right path, and nobody's voice should be suppressed on that.
Your voice, your perspective, your truth should not be suppressed.
Yeah, your truth. It's like it's your truth. You're in your own world, and then that set the right off.
Israeli publications jumped on Harris for not pushing back against the student's characterization of Israel's actions towards Palestinians as ethnic genocide. And sources tell CNN calls came into the White House from several leading Jewish organizations expressing their concern.
She's supposed to say, "You Nazi."
Right.
How dare you?
Yeah.
And it shows you how hollow Kamala is, because if you consider all the statements she's made in support of Israel, just reading the script of the lobby, you can see how shallow it is. She really could go either way if,
she's lobby curious.
Well, there's no
curious.
There's no Palestine lobby that can vault you from being like a prosecutor to the heartbeat away from the Oval Office. So there you have it. But it's remarkable that these confrontations are taking place. And the Democratic Party, its leadership, its elected officials are increasingly afraid of their constituents because of this dynamic. The constituents of the Democratic Party have moved away from Israel 10 years ago, at least a future of the party, which looks like that student, a minority that age who votes Democrat, favors Israel over the Palestinians, according to every Pew poll that comes out every year. And, this is even becoming a factor among Jewish Democrats. So you can see more evidence of how undemocratic the Democratic Party is, because there will be very little change at the top. I mean,
Right.
there's very little change in terms of the U.S. posture